Hi, this is Alimayo Arango of littleguycgi.com, and today I would like to show you how to make a cartoon battle car in Blender 2.73 RC. So let's get started. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe or other 3D programs. Okay, in Blender, you operate typically in two main modes. There's object mode, which you see right here, where you can move an object around. And there's also edit mode, where you move the individual parts of an object around. For most of this tutorial, we'll be inside of edit mode. So what we're going to do is click right here and then select edit mode. Okay, to manipulate your view around, if you click this tab right here, which is the navigation tab, you'll see if you click front, right, left, top, back, bottom, and back to front, you can easily get around to all the different views just by selecting one of these buttons to switch to that view. You can also hold your middle mouse button to rotate your view. For right now, what you want to do is select front for front view, and you can also see your view right here. So right now we're in front perspective mode. We actually want to be in front orthographic mode. And what orthographic mode is, it's kind of like a blueprint mode. So we're going to click here, and now we're in front orthographic mode. Okay, the reason why we came to front orthographic mode is what we want to do is we want to cut this polygon cube in half and put a mirror modifier on it, which will effectively allow us to do half of the work. You see how this orange dot is directly in the center here? This orange dot is your point of origin. That's what you want. That's where you want that orange dot to be for the mirror modifier to work correctly. So right now we have one single cube. So what we're going to do is we're going to press Control R. And you see that purple line right there? That purple line is a preview showing that a loop cut is going to be cut into this cube as soon as we push the left mouse button. So we click it, click again to lock it in, and you can see that orange line going right there, which is exactly what we want. Now what you want to do is you're going to press your Z key, and you're going to go to wireframe. And I'm currently using the pie menu that came up a couple of versions ago in Blender. You can also get to wire view from here as well. So if you're confused at all by the pie menus, you can get to the same options just by going here as far as the wireframe and solid. Typically we go into wireframe when we want to grab more than one vertex. So from this view, because we're in front orthographic view, it looks like if I select these 2 points here, it's one vertex, when in reality it's actually 4 vertices. So I'm going to click here to go back in front view. I'm going to click A to deselect. I'm going to click B for box select, and I'm going to, let me select here actually, faces. I'm going to select B for box select, and I'm just going to pull the box a little bit past that the origin point there, and it lets me grab this whole half of the cube here. I'm going to press X to bring up the delete menu. Then I'm going to select faces to delete. So we have the exact half of the cube, and then we have the origin point exactly in the center where we want it. So what we're going to do now is hold our mouse over here, or move our mouse over here, hold our middle mouse button, click and drag, and you're going to click what looks like the wrench. This is your modifier button for Blender. You're going to click here, and then you're going to go to the mirror modifier, which is right here. Okay, as soon as you click that mirror modifier to add it, you can see your mirror modifier options right here. You want to make sure that you have a check mark right here for clipping, and this will keep the mesh from this side of the mesh, which is actually there, from pulling away from this side of the mesh, which is virtually there in a sense. And if you click this button right here, it'll make it look like this mirrored half is, for lack of a better word, actually there. Okay, so now we have our cube set up. So as we develop this battle car, we'll only have to do basically half of the work because of the mirror modifier that's on there. Okay, so with that done, what we're going to do now is we're going to hold the middle mouse button, and we're doing this just to get kind of a 3D view. I'm going to press Z and then go to solid mode. Remember, you can, get to it here as well. So what we're going to do now is press A, then we're going to press S to scale on the Z axis. All right. So currently we're scaling, we grabbed faces, which you can see right here, and we're going to be, pushing and pulling faces. And as we go on, we're going to use all of the basic parts that meshes are made up with. And to select them, we have vertices select here, edge select here, and face select here. So with face select on here, what we're going to do is pull this forward a little bit. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, turn to the side. I'm going to press A to select everything. If you have something selected, you press A once, it'll deselect it. You press it again, it'll select everything. So if you see me press A twice, a lot of times I'm just trying to make sure that everything is totally deselected. So what we're going to do now is press S for scale on the X axis. We're going to widen this out a little bit like that. And now we're going to select this face right here. Now, when I select this face right here, the reason why this other face is being selected is because we have this mirror modifier on it. So pretty much what we do to this side will be reflected on this side. And that's what I was talking about when I said that with the mirror modifier on, we can effectively do half of the work that we normally would do. Okay, with these faces still selected, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side a little bit. I'm going to press E to extrude. And you see that blue line right there? It's showing me a preview that that's going to be going along the y-axis, which is good. So we'll just ride that out. We'll pop this out to about here. I just rolled the mouse button just to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to press E to extrude again. And we're going to be extruding 3 times here. So here's the second time. Then we're going to press E to extrude again. And basically what's going on here is, imagine this is basically going to be where the tire actually is kind of in between eventually. Okay, so what we're going to do is press A to deselect here now. We're going to hold the middle mouse button, turn to the back. We're going to select here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 3 extrusions. So we're going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, E to extrude, left click to lock in, E to extrude, left click to lock in. And generally the way I like to model is I like to get the basic shape. Once you have the basic shape, you can fairly easily, manipulate your different shapes. The difficult part is getting that initial shape. So that's what we're working on right here. And as we're going through this, you want to kind of imagine like what's going on. Like, so you understand what's going on. This is going to be like the roof part, like the main part of the car where the steering wheel, the seat, all that, that's going to come from these 2 blocks right here. This is going to be the hood. This is going to be the, the rear, the trunk and all that. So this is our basic body right here. So what we're going to do is press A. When we pressed A, the reason why it didn't select anything was we still had the back selected. So when we press A, it deselected there. So now we're going to press A again. Then we're going to press S to scale on the X axis. You can see that red line going out there. That's a preview line showing how we, where it's going to scale to. So we'll scale it out a little bit wider like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our edge select. And we're going to select here. I'm going to hold control, press space, go up to choose the manipulator. And I did that just to temporarily make that manipulator disappear. And if some chance you have a Blender, I think it's Blender 7.2, the Pi system came in. If you have the Blender 7.2 or above, and you're like, how come I don't see the Pi system? If you go to File, User Preferences, go to Add-ons, scroll all the way down to the bottom. You can see right here, User Interface Pi Menus Official. You just put a check mark right there. You'll have your Pi menus if you want them. Anyway, with the edge select on, I'm going to hold Shift and select all of these top edges right here. I'm going to hold Control, press Space, which brings up this menu. I'm then going to choose the manipulator, and I'm just going to pull up slightly here. Not too much. Okay, and now I'm going to grab this edge right here, push forward slightly. Now I want to grab this area and make this I guess you would say the passenger driver area bigger. So what I'm going to do is press Z to go to wireframe. The reason why I'm going to wireframe is so that we can select more than one vertices, edges, or faces at a time and do it easily. So I'm going to hold control, hold my right mouse button. This is going to give me a lasso select. I'm going to select right here, and then with all of these faces and edges, I'm going to click faces here. I'm just going to drag this forward just so that there's more room for where the the driver and all that stuff can go. So now I'm going to press Z and go back to solid mode. I'm then going to press A to deselect there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our navigation tab and select right. We're then going to press Z to bring back our wireframe. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan this view a little bit. I'm going to go to vertices select by selecting here. I'm then going to press B for box select. I'm going to select these. It looks like I'm selecting 2. I'm actually selecting 4, including mirror modifier. Let me not confuse you. I'm going to pull this right up to below that green line right there. I'm going to press A. I'm going to press B and grab right here. Pull this right up to underneath that green line right there. I'm going to press Z and go back to solid view. I'm actually going to grab this vertice here, hold shift, grab these vertices here, push straight down, grab these 3 here, push this down, and we'll keep adjusting this as we go along. Okay, now what we're going to do is go to face select. We're going to select right here. We're going to press E to extrude. And we already have the Z axis. We can see the preview right there. So I'm going to left click to lock in. Okay, and with these faces selected here, we're going to press S to scale, no axis. We're just going to pull this in like that. We're going to push this down some with the manipulator, and then we're just going to pull back some like here. We're going to hold the middle mouse button, turn to the back, select here. Hold the middle mouse button to turn again. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to press E to extrude. You can see our blue line right there. We're going to ride along that axis. We're going to pull this out to about like here. Hold the middle mouse button just so I can get, kind of more of a 3D view right here. I'm going to, with the face select on, I'm going to select here. I'm going to hold shift and select all of these faces on the side here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn again. I'm going to press E to extrude on the x-axis, about like that. I'm then going to press S to scale a little, not too much. Okay, now what I'm going to do is select here, 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 here. I'm going to extrude. Press E to extrude on the x-axis again, like this. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, now with that done, we're going to go to edge select. We're going to select this edge right here. We're going to pull this in some, like there. We're going to select this edge right here. We're going to press S to scale on the Z axis. Push that down some. We're going to select, we're going to go to face select. We're going to select here, hold shift, select here, here, and here. And we're going to press E to extrude. Oops, so I was already on the Z, so I took the Z axis away. I'm just going to press Z again to get it back. Take this up to about like there. We're going to go to edge select. I'm just changing that shape of this a little bit. So the only reason why I'm grabbing these edges here. Now I'm just holding them in a mouse button just to take a look at this. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn here. I'm going to grab this edge right here. Just make it a little bit more space in there for the passenger. As a matter of fact, I'm going to click here, go to right view. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to press Z to go to wireframe mode. I'm going to press B for box select. I'm going to grab right here, just this back part. Face select. I'm just going to pull this back a little bit. I think I'm actually going to do the same thing to the front. So I'm going to hold control, hold the right mouse button, which gives me lasso select. Come right up here, grab this. A, it didn't do quite what I'm going to go to vertice select. Go here, grab those vertices. There we go. Push that forward like that. Then hit A, deselect. Press Z, and then go back to solid mode. Good. Okay, with vertice select still on, I'm going to select here, push this down a little bit. I'm going to press A to deselect there. I'm going to press Control R to put a loop cut right here. Left click to lock in. Hold the middle mouse button to turn. Okay, now what we're going to do is hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to press Control R to put a loop cut right here. Left click to lock in. Then what I'm going to do is go to right orthographic view just by clicking there. And press Z to go to wireframe view. I'm going to press A to deselect. And I'm going to make sure I'm on vertice select. I'm going to hold Control, hold the right mouse button, and select all of these vertices right here. Push this forward some. I'm going to press Z to go back to solid view. Holding the middle mouse button to turn. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. And with vertices select still on, I'm just going to pull this back a little. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn. To just look, I'm just holding it, turning it so I can look and see this right here. I'm going to go to face select. I'm going to select here, hold shift, select here, here. Hold the middle mouse button. And now, when you see me hold the middle mouse button to turn, I'm just trying to get the best view to see. I'm going to press E to extrude on the Z axis. And I lost it, so I'm gonna, because the preview went away, I'm gonna press Z again. I get it back, take it down like this. Now I'm gonna press. Do I want to press that? No, I'll leave it. I want to press that. Okay, yeah, we'll leave it like this. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to vertice select. We're gonna grab this vertice and push this forward like that. Make sure this vertice isn't doing anything weird here. Push it down a little bit. Okay, we're gonna go here. I'm gonna press C for paint select and select all these. Hold the middle mouse button just to turn to the side. I'm gonna press E to extrude on the Z axis. Press Z again. Left click to lock in. Okay, I'm gonna roll the mouse wheel back. Hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Hold the middle mouse button to rotate a little bit. I'm going to select these faces here. Hold the middle mouse button to rotate. Press E to extrude. We can see from the preview line it's already on Z. We're going to flatten this out by pressing S to scale on the Z axis 0. And what I just did there was, this wasn't totally flat. That's a nice shortcut to know. If you scale, if you grab faces like here and you press S to scale on his Z axis up and down in 0, it'll automatically flatten things that are in this position, like flat against the ground. S to scale on the Z axis 0 will automatically, flatten out faces. Okay, now what we're going to do is our vertice select. We're going to select this vertice, hold shift, and select this vertice while holding shift. So now I'll just let go of shift. Now I'm pushing down here like that. Grabbing these two vertices, pushing up here a little bit. I'm going to go to edge select, push, whoops, this edge I want, push up here slightly, up here slightly. Just looking here, trying to think about the interior, if that's big enough. Okay, with that done, what we're going to do is go to face select. We're then going to select this face, hold shift, select all of these faces here. We're We're going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, press S to scale, left click to lock in. I'm going to go to vertice select, select this vertice, push down like this. I'm actually going to go to edge select. I'm going to select right here. I'm going to hold Alt and press O. And what that does is that turned this on right here. If you click here, you can see this enable turned on what's called proportional editing, and this connected proportional editing is this symbol here. That's what we turned on now. And when we press G, see that circle there? If I roll my mouse wheel back or roll it forward, that's our area of influence. And what that area of influence does is it allows us to move more than one vertice, edge, or face at a time, depending on how big the area of influence is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press X. So I press G first. That lets me see the circle. I set the circle by rolling the mouse wheel. Then I press X. You see that preview line just like before. So I'm just going to push this way, about like that. And then now that we did that, I'm going to click here and click disable to turn off the proportional edit. So remember, if your proportional edit is on, you'll see a blue, this lit up blue here. Okay, so I'm going to go to vertice select. I'm going to select right here, push this down slightly. I'm going to go back to face select. I'm going to select these faces here. I'm going to press E to extrude. Take it in just crap, not too much. Hit S to scale. So we can have problems right here. See how we're having a little bit of problems from pushing this in, and what we can do is grab here and push this back and down some, and that should, yeah, it looks like that dealt with it. Okay, let's give this a windshield. So we're going to select here. We're going to hold shift and select all of these faces here. We're going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. We just created 4 new faces here on top of the old faces when we did that E to extrude, even though it doesn't look like we did anything. Then we're going to press S to scale. So we're scaling down that new geometry to about here, holding the middle mouse button to turn. Then I'm going to press E to extrude and just a little. Left click to lock in. Okay, now we're going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn. I'm going to press Control R. Left click to lock in. I'm going to slide this back to about here. See how this line isn't totally straight, right? We can fix that by pressing S to scale on the Y-axis 0. You can see that line is straight now, like that. Okay, now we're going to go to face select. We're going to select right here. We're going to press E to extrude. Left click to lock in. We just created new geometry again. I could indent, or sorry, inset, but I'm just used to doing E to extrude, and it does a very similar thing. So I'm going to press E to extrude, push in, like there. I'm going to select right here, press E to extrude, left click to lock in and create the new geometry, scale in, like there. We'll zoom in so you can see. I'm going to press E to extrude to go in. A little bit like that. We'll go to the back. Hold shift, select these faces. We'll press E to extrude to create new geometry. Left click to lock in. Press S to scale. And then I'm going to press E to extrude and ride that extrusion right in. Just the regular extrusion it's on. Just like that. Okay, we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate around to the front. We're going to go to edge select. We're going to select this edge right here. We're going to press Shift S to bring up the snap to menu. We're going to choose cursor to selected. That just put our cursor right there. The reason why we did that is because in Blender, objects tend to come into where your 3D cursor is at. So this entire time we've been in edit mode inside of the main car body. Which we have listed up here still as a cube. So I'm actually going to hover my mouse over this menu, pull down here. I'm going to double click on where it says cube. I'm going to name this main car body. If I hover my mouse here and pull, you can see, okay, there's our main car body right there. Okay, so now with our 3D cursor here, we're going to click here. We're going to go into object mode. We're then going to press Shift A. We're going to go to Mesh. cylinder. And then before doing anything, while we have this cylinder just came in, if you looked here, because we didn't do anything, we still see our cylinder options. What we want to do is click here and select 10. And then left click to lock in. Typically, if you bring a cylinder in and then you go right into edit mode, you'll lose your options right here. So, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to click here, go into edit mode. Then we're going to click here, which is going to take us into local mode. And all local mode is, if you look here, you can see it says user ortho local. Local just allows us to focus on one object and keeps us from being distracted from other things like the car that was next to here. So in local ortho mode, what we're going to do is select face here. We're going to select here, and we're just going to push this down like this. I'm going to roll back my mouse wheel back. I'm going to hold the mouse button to turn. I'm going to press R to rotate on the the Y-axis, 90. Whoops. You see that right there? Because I only had the face selected, which is a mistake. You can hover your mouse over an object, a separate object like this, and press L to select the entire thing. If L doesn't work, you press Control L when you're selecting on the vertex, select the entire thing. Anyway, now with that done, we're going to press R to rotate on the Y-axis, 90. Left click to lock in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control R to bring up one loop cut, and you can see it right there. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel once to bring up another loop cut. I'm going to left click to lock in. I'm now going to press S to scale on the X-axis to bring this to spread out those loop cuts just a little bit. I'm going to left click to lock in. Okay, now what we're going to do is go to face select. We're going to select here. We're going to hold the middle mouse button and turn, hold shift and select here. Hold the middle mouse button and turn. And then we're going to press S to scale. This is just helping to round out the tire some. Left click to lock in. I'm actually going to press A to select there. So I pressed A, something was selected, so I deselected, and I pressed A again to select everything. I'm going to press S to scale on the X-axis to make this tire wider. Now what we're going to do is go to front view, make sure we're in front ortho. Our origin point's right here, which is good. We're going to press Control R, left click to lock in, left click to lock in again. We're going to go to face select, press Z, go to wireframe, press B for box select, and select all of these faces right here. We're going to press X to delete all of those faces. Click here and let me move this out of the way. We're going to click mirror, turn on clipping, and select here. Okay, so now we have our mirror modifier on, so we're going to press Z to go back to solid view. We're going to select here. We're going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. We just created new geometry right here. We're going to press S to scale. Okay, now we're going to press E to extrude again. Left click to lock in. We just created new geometry. We're going to push in slightly here, like that. Now we're going to press E to extrude. Left click to lock in. Press S to scale in like this. Left click to lock in. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to hold shift, select here, 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 and here. Hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. I'm going to press E to extrude. We can see, I think we're on the X-axis. There we go. Pull out just like this. Left click to lock in. I'm going to roll in so you can see what's going on. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan up. I'm going to select this middle part right here. I'm going to press E to extrude to create new geometry there. Left click to lock in. Press S to scale in. Left click to lock in. E to extrude again. Push in some. S to scale. E to extrude again. Left click to lock in. S to scale. And now E to extrude on the X-axis here. Okay, now we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to click here, go to object mode. We're going to click apply to apply that modifier. We're going to click back into edit mode. We're going to press A. We're going to go to our modifier here. Move this out of the way. We're going to click here. Go to subdivision surface. We're going to click here. Click the view up to 2. With everything selected, we're going to press Z and select Shade Smooth. And you can see everything right here is extremely smooth. So what we're going to do is press A to deselect. I'm going to press Control R to put a loop cut here. I'm going to pull to, and the reason why I put that loop cut in there was to sharpen up the edge right here. I'm going to press Control R, put a loop cut here, pull here as well. As far as like this, what I'm going to do is press C for paint select. I'm going to shrink my area of influence for my paint select. Whoops. I'm going to go to face select. I'm going to press C for paint select again. I'm going to select all of this right here. Yeah, select all this right here. And now with that selected, I'm going to press Shift E. Then I'm going to pull. Interesting. And what I did was I increased the mean crease of this. If you let me show you what that is. If I press N and I scroll up here, see this thing right here that says mean crease. Watch this. When I take this down, you see that? Take it up, it does that. So Shift E is just a shortcut for the mean crease tool. Okay, often when you're dealing with mechanical objects and you put a subdivision surface on because you want certain things smooth like the tire, but you want other things smooth like here, it can be a dilemma because you're like, well, how do I, have this be smooth and this be hard at the same time? It's called typically hard surface modeling, and basically all you really need to know about is the mean crease will do wonders for you. But with the shade smooth on, which makes this look smooth, typically you'll have issues where, when you look right here, like see this purplish line here. If I click here, I'm looking for display. Click here, I can go to creases and uncheck creases, and now you can see what's going on here. And it's sharper, but you see how like the shading looks kind of funny. One way that you can deal with that is by clicking here and clicking edge split. Now as soon as I put this, I selected the edge split modifier, you can see that now this is nice and sharp, even though we have our shade smooth on. So the hard surface modeling issues aren't too difficult to deal with. You can just remember to the mean crease, the edge split modifier will fix your shading, and sometimes the bevel modifier or beveling individual lines. And beveling is just, basically taking a line and splitting it into two. Anyway, without going too far off, let's click into object mode. And we're in user ortho mode, so what we're going to do is click here to go out of ortho, right? I'm actually going to click edit to go back into here. I'm going to press, we're back into the edit mode of the tire. We're going to press A. I press S to scale this up, push this down some, like that. And often when you're editing, you see right here, here is our point of origin. We actually want that right in the center, not necessarily for now, but for the future. And since we're going to duplicate this tire, we might as well deal with this now. It's fairly easily dealt with. We'll just click here, go into object mode. With the tire selected, we click object, we go to transform, and then origin to geometry, and now the pivot point is set. Sorry, not the pivot point, the origin point, not the pivot point. The origin point is set like it should be. Kind of just roll the middle mouse wheel to zoom back. Okay, now with that tire selected, I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate the tire. I'm going to take this manipulator and pull straight back like this. Here's our duplicate tire. I'm now going to select here to go to front view. I'm going to roll my mouse wheel back. I'm going to hold Shift and then the mouse button to pan. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel in. I'm going to select this tire right here. I'm going to press Shift C. When I did that, the 3D cursor went directly into the center of this, where it's right where we want it to be. And the reason why we want it to be there is because what I want to do now is duplicate this tire yet again. So I'm going to press Shift D. Here's the tire. I'm going to right click. The tire is still selected. It's just right on top of the other one. Now our 3D cursor is right here. I'm going to click here, change this from Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point, right? I'm going to change this to the 3D cursor. Now I still have that duplicate tire selected. I'm going to press S to scale on the x-axis, -1. Left click to lock in, and that puts this tire pretty much exactly on the opposite side of there, which is very nice. So we're going to select here, press Shift D to duplicate. Here it is. Right click to get it to snap right back. Click here to go to front view. We're going to press S to scale on the x-axis, -1. Left click to lock in. And there you can see the tire is duplicated, and it's, where we want it to, pretty much on the exact opposite side of here. So since we had that done, we're going to click here and turn our pivot point from the 3D cursor back to Blender's default pivot point selection, which is the medium point. Okay, now what we're going to do is roll our mouse wheel, select back on the main car body, click back into edit mode. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to hold them in the mouse button. We're going to look at the bottom of this car. We're going to go to face select. We're going to select here, here, here. I'm going to press S to scale on the Z-axis 0 to flatten that out. Left click to lock in. I am going to press A to deselect, C to paint select. And then I'm going to press a right click to get out of paint select. I'm going to press S to scale on the Y-axis to give the tires a little bit more space. Rolling in here. I'm going to see, here's these cylinders of the tires. I'm going to click these eyes to temporarily take them away. I'm going to go to edge select here, holding shift to select all those edges. So pull this way some there. I'm going to go to vertices select, pull this here a little bit, just giving the tires a little bit more room. Holding the middle mouse button to turn. I'm going to go to edge select here and edge select here. Holding the middle mouse button to turn. I'm just going to pull back some like that. I think roll in here. I'm going to just hit A to deselect, select this right here. Actually, hit A to deselect, so I'm going to hit hold shift and select all of this right here and pull this back something like that. Now let's bring the tires back by selecting these eyes again. Still have an issue here. Holding shift and middle mouse button pan, rolling the middle mouse button. I'm going to go to vertices select here. Just pull that up some like that. Select this vertice, pull this back some. I'm selecting this vertice just to move this manipulator temporarily out of the way. I'm going to pull this in some here. Okay, so with that done, okay, now we're going to go to face select. We're going to select these faces here. I'm going to hold shift, grab this manipulator and push straight down here like that. I'm going to press A to deselect, C for paint select, and select right here. Hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to press C for paint select to select here. Right click to get out of paint select. Click here to go right in the right ortho view, just so I can see clearly how low that is. Push down here like that. Okay. And now I'm going to roll the mouse wheel in. I'm going to press shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to select right here. Whoops. Select here, hold shift, select here. I'm going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. We just created new geometry. Now that new geometry of faces we just put there, we're going to push out here. Then we're going to take advantage of our mirror modifier that's on here and pull to the side like that. Okay, now we're going to press A to deselect. With face select on, I'm going to select here, 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 and here. We're going to press E to extrude on the Z axis and bring this straight up. It's kind of wobbly. Wobbly, you know what? I kind of like that wobbliness right there. Push in. Yeah. I'm going to press Z like that. And I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis. Don't want to confuse you there. Like that. So I extrude it straight up on the Z. Press S to scale on the X axis just to pull that over some like that. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. Turn to the back here. And I go to edge select. I'm going to select this edge right here. Whoops, Control Z. I saw that move a little. Select here. I'm going to press Control space. Select the manipulator. Temporarily take it away. I'm going to hold Shift. Select here. I'm actually going to click here and turn on the proportional connected editing tool. I'm going to press G for the purpose right now of seeing that area of influence. I'm going to roll my mouse wheel to see it come up. I'm going to press Z to allow me to push this down some. I'm rolling the middle mouse button in. You can see the geometry, adjusting as I maneuver. I'm going to click here to turn this off. So I'm just selecting disable. I'm going to select this vertex here. Whoops. Select this vertex here, I'm going to press Control space to bring back the manipulator. Push down here like that. Rolling out so you can see. I'm going to press Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, now we're going to go to face select. And we're going to select. We're going to go C for paint select. Select here too. We're going to press E to extrude. Left click to lock in. We're going to press S to scale on the Y axis like this. Then S to scale on the X axis like this. When I roll the mouse wheel to zoom in, I'm going to temporarily turn off clipping. I'm going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. And I turned off clipping so that this geometry will now split when I scale. So I'm going to press there, that. Excellent. Now that I have the split, I'm going to click here to turn clipping back on. Okay, now I'm going to press E to extrude on the Z axis. Whoops, press Z again, I lost it, like that. I'm going to press R to rotate on the X axis. Put like a curve in the geometry kind of going up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edge select. I'm going to select this edge right here in the center. I'm going to press Alt O, which is a shortcut for the connected proportional editing tool. I'm going to press G and then Y. I'm going to pull this up. And see how it's doing like that. And I'm going to roll the mouse wheel and you'll see it start to pull more geometry up. Oops, don't want it to affect that. Don't want it to affect this though. I'm going to press Control Z. Press G. Roll this down some. And see, I don't want it to affect that. So what I can do, if I don't want that, is I can press C, grab more geometry, right? And now I can press G and then Y. Okay, I'm going to click here to turn this off. I'm going to grab here. Push forward like that. And I don't want it touching there. And I go to vertices select. There's a little weirdness here. Pull that back. Zoom in close. Select here. I'm going to press Control Space. Select the manipulator. Select here. Hit Control Space to bring the manipulator back. Okay. Sometimes you have to tell yourself you're doing a tutorial to not get caught up with you guys. I don't want you to get frustrated. Okay, so we have this here set up like this so far. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to select right here, press Shift S to bring up the Snap To menu. I'm going to choose cursor to select it. I just wanted the cursor right there. I'm going to temporarily turn off clipping right here. I'm going to press Shift A. I'm going to bring in a cylinder. I'm going to go right here to my cylinder menu. Whenever you bring a cylinder in, just like the tires, before you click anything, you have options. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click 1, 0 for 10. Left click the lock in. I'm going to press R to rotate on the Y axis, 90 degrees. Left click the lock in. I'm going to take my manipulator and push it over here. Push it up. I'm going to press S to scale it down some. Push it here. S to scale it down some, a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate. Push this to this side like that. And I'm going to select, go to face select. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take this face and duplicate it and use it to make a new object. So I'm going to press Shift D, left click to lock in. I have this face right here, right? I'm going to press S to scale. It's totally, well, it's not totally, but for the most part, it's separate from these other objects. I'm going to press E to extrude, let it ride out its extrusion where it's at. Left click the lock in there. Click here, just pull this over here. Good, now I'm going to press L, L, and then L to select this. I'm going to press R to rotate on the Z axis. To rotate it a little bit like that, maybe pull it up some like this. About like that. Okay, now with that selected, I'm going to press Shift D, left click to lock in, take the manipulator, drag it back. Press Shift D, left click to lock in, take the manipulator and drag it back. Now I'll push it down some here. Hold the middle mouse button to see. A lot of times you have to hold the middle mouse button to zoom around just to see what the heck is going on as far as like your 3D view, because you can get lost. I'm going to press L, whoops, Control Z. If you're over an object and you press L, it tends to select that whole object. So I'm going to push these up some. I'm actually going to press S to scale to shrink these down some. Push them up a little bit more, and I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis to make them grow out some. And I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to press L, L, and L, 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 L. Shift D, left click to lock in. A lot of times you can, it almost feels like a cheat to me when you're working with mechanical things. Take advantage of the fact that you can duplicate things because it's mechanical. People expect things to be duplicated, so it's almost like it almost feels kind of like a little cheat because you can duplicate things, and then people when they see what you're making, they'll kind of be like, "Oh my gosh, you made all that!" It's like, well, you may want to duplicate it, but people don't tend to think that way. So you might as well, take advantage of it when you're making something mechanical. I actually got the idea for this. I was watching some Cinema 4D time lapses. Sometimes the time lapses that people put up are unbelievable in how fast these things are. And what I tend to do is I'll look at a time lapse and I will go to the options that are right above the resolution options for a video. You can actually turn the speed down to a fairly slow amount, and even in slow motion, the time lapses are unbelievable how fast some of them are. I'm just pressing shift and middle mouse button to pan. And you can get some, cool ideas sometimes from watching, people doing stuff from the other programs. Okay, so let's put some weapon mounts here. So I'm going to select these two faces right here. I'm going to press E to extrude on the x-axis. So we'll pull this out like that. Left click to lock in. Okay, we're going to click here. We're going to go into object mode. And we're going to press Shift A. We're going to go to mesh. We're going to bring in a cylinder, like very similar like what we did before. We'll take this one down to 20. Left click to lock in. We'll press R to rotate on the x-axis, 9, 0. Left click to lock in. We'll press Control A for rotation. That's just that is actually, let me show you that. If I hit N, if you ever see anybody do that, if I scroll up here, right, you basically want here this object. Now watch when I move it up. See how when I moved it up, these numbers went. You don't want these numbers to be like this. You want these numbers to be 0, like the rotation is 0, right? So the way you can get these numbers back to 0 is you press Control A and then just apply a location. Now you can see they're 0. So that's also typically why you'll see me like go into edit mode before I move something, because I can move this in edit mode, come out, and it's still 0, and it just tends to cause problems. You're better off having that be zeroed out than having that the location and the global scene be something different. Anyway, I'm going to press S to scale on the y-axis here. Put this up here, and we'll press S to scale on the y-axis like that. Press S to scale, just to shrink it down some. I'm going to press Control R to put a loop cut. Right here. And Control R to put another loop cut right here. I'm going to go to face select. So select all this right here. I'm going to press A to select. Push forward, something like that. A to select some more. I'm going to select this face right here. I'm going to press E to extrude. Left click to lock in. We're just creating some weapons here. Left click to lock in. E to extrude on the y-axis. That. See, it's showing through a little bit there, so we still have it selected, so we'll just press S to scale. And if we think this is like too thick, we can press with face select, hold Alt select there, and then we can either press S to scale like this. You can also press Alt scale. Remember what I told you about duplication. Once you have something made, it's not too difficult to duplicate it when you're dealing with something mechanical. Okay, what we're going to do here is I'm actually going to take this face here. I'm going to press Shift D, duplicate it, and just push it up there for now. I'm going to press Control R to put a loop cut right there. I'm going to slide this loop cut down like this. I'm going to press Control R to put another loop cut here. Slide that down like this. I'm going to go to face select. I'm going to hold Alt, select all these faces here. Press S to scale these up a little bit like that. I'm going to press L to select the entire thing. Press S to scale. And I'm going to press Shift D. Duplicate it. Pull this up like this. I'm going to hover my mouse over this. Press L. I'm going to press Shift D. Left click to lock in. So now we have some multiple cannons there. Press A to deselect. Okay, I'm actually going to hold the middle mouse button to turn. I'm going to hover my mouse over here, press L. Hover my mouse over here, press L. I'm going to push these a little bit closer together. Hold the middle mouse button to turn to the back. Face select on, I'm going to select here. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan up. Roll the mouse wheel to zoom in. Holding shift and selecting all these back faces. I'm just going to pull these out and make this longer. And this face here be selected before. I'm going to press S to scale to make this bigger. I'm going to press E to extrude on the Y axis. I'm going to press L while hovering over it to select the entire thing. And if you ever have a problem where your faces look weird, like this thing right here, even through the selection looks kind of weird, if you press W and then flip normals, a lot of times it'll stop that. So I'm going to take the manipulator and push this in here like this. Press S to scale. That up some. I don't want it too big though. Front. That's what's nice about front orthographic. You can see clearly. First I have to scale that down just a little. Scale it a little bit more. And I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate this. Pull this back some like that. Okay, and I'm actually going to select this face. Here I'm going to press Shift D, left click to lock in. Pull this down to here. I'm going to press S to scale to make this a little bit bigger. E to extrude on the Y axis. I'm going to press S to scale to make this a little bit bigger like that. Press E to extrude on the Y axis. Press E to extrude on the Y axis again. Press S to scale. That's a little bit too big, so I'm going to hover my mouse over it, press L, press S. People were trying to tell me before about L. That's a great thing, hovering the mouse. I don't know what is going on, what was going on. It seemed like before when I pressed L it didn't work, so I would press Control L and it would work. And what I'm guessing now is you hover over something with L, you can select it if it's like kind of a separate object. And then if you have a vertice selected on one thing, you can press Control L. But for all you people who tried to tell me over and over again about L, you know, thank you for staying on me, and I eventually got it. Okay, we're going to press Z, go to wireframe, press A to deselect, B for box select. Press Z to go back to solid. And I just want to scale this whole thing down some. It's one of the fun things about doing mechanical stuff is you can keep pulling, pieces that you're working on from other pieces and changing them. It's pretty cool. So we're going to hold Alt. We're going to do that now. We're going to press Shift D. We're going to move this back. Press N. Take that away. that menu away that was there. I'm going to press S to scale on the Y axis like this. Okay, so now we're going to do, I'm just holding the middle mouse button to turn. We're going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. We just created new geometry on that ring of faces there. We're going to press S to scale, bring it up like that. We just gave it, some thickness there. And now what we're going to do is see how we're inside of an object now? We're inside of like this cannon type thing that we're making here, right? So suppose I want to do local mode right here, which I do want to do. So how would I go about doing that? One of the ways you can do that is you press L over this object, right? Remember, we're in this object, right? So we can't just press local mode, because it'll be local mode for just this it'll be local mode for everything in here. Like if we let's see, yeah, see the card disappears, right? So we'll click it to bring it back. So we want this to temporarily disappear. One of the things you can do is press Shift H, and what that does is that hides everything but what you're working on, So it's just a nice thing to know. So we're gonna click here to go to front mode. We're gonna press Shift, hold Shift in the middle mouse button, I should say. Roll in here. Then we're gonna press Z to go into wireframe. Press A to deselect. We're gonna press go to face select. We're in face select. Good. We're gonna press B for box select. We're gonna select this whole top of faces there. We're gonna press X to bring up our delete menu and then delete the faces there. Then we're going to press Z and then solid. And now we have this thing, but we have these faces here and it's easily fixed. We'll go to edge select. We'll hold Alt, select the edge here. Press F. Hold Alt here. Hold Alt while selecting the edge, I should say, and then press F. So now we're going to press L. Press S to scale on the Y axis. Okay, now we're going to press Alt H to bring everything else back. So press A to deselect everything. Now we're going to press hold our cursor over here, press L. Move this kind of like into position here. I'm going to press S to scale on the Y axis. So now we'll press Shift D, left click to lock in, duplicate this like that. And then I think we're going to press Shift D again to duplicate this. Remember what I told you, the duplication thing? It's pretty cool. I would, and the cool thing is it actually works. Press S to scale, no access, like this. Maybe we'll move this back some, like that. Now we'll press L. Well, we hovered over here, so we press L, so it selects that. It's like this. All of this, and we'll just move this up some. It doesn't look right, so we'll press L, we'll press S to scale on the Y axis, and we'll press Alt S to make this skinnier. Push this up like that, and maybe there we go. That's not. Not bad. Okay, so now I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to face select, hold Alt, select. Is that Alt? Yep, hold Alt, select right on the edge. Press Shift D, left click to lock in. Now we're going to press R to rotate on the X axis. 90. Left click to lock in. We're going to press S to scale. Scale this down. Push down just like this. Move that. There we go. Oh, not too much. There we go. Shift forward a little bit. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to press Z to go into wireframe mode. We're going to click here to go to front view. Roll back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan the view. Roll the mouse wheel to zoom in. I'm going to go to hit B for box select. Select this whole area right here that we've been working on. I'm going to press Z to go back to solid mode. I'm going to press Shift C to put the 3D cursor right here. I'm going to click here to make the pivot point be the 3D cursor. I'm going to press Shift D to have a duplicate of this. I'm going to press S to scale on the x-axis -1 to put that on the other side. And in case the normals are not right, I'm going to press Control N to reset the normals there. Okay, and now with both of those selected, let's see if this will work. We'll press A to deselect. I'm trying to see if these will go right back there. You know what, we're going to click here, go to object mode. Okay, now we're going to click on the car, go into edit mode for the car, select this face right here, pull it out just a little bit, and you'll see that the manipulator's over here. The reason why it's there is because it's still set up for this 3D cursor, but it still allows us to, pull out some distance there. So now we'll click here, go back to object mode, select these, click here to go back into edit mode. And the reason why we're doing all this clicking around, this is its own object, and this is one object. These two Canon type things are one object, and the car is one object. So that's what's going on here. So now what we're going to do is press Z to go into wireframe mode. Just to make it easy to grab everything, we're going to hit B for box select. We have everything grabbed. We're going to press Z to come back to solid mode. I'm going to press Shift D, left click to lock in. Pull this back. And you can see that the 3D cursor is still there. That's fine because we're going to need it in a moment. We're going to click front view to see how this is looking. We'll push this over a little bit more, push this up some. And now what we're going to do is we're going to press Shift D to duplicate this. We're going to right click so it's right back. It's right on top of here. But we still have the duplicated Canon type thing selected. So now we have the 3D cursor already centered, and we already have the pivot point set for 3D cursor. Now we're going to press S to scale on the x-axis -1. Left click to lock in. Most likely the faces, the normals, aren't right, and if we look at it, it'll look strange. So we're going to press Control N now, and you can even kind of see there that looks like it dealt with the situation of the normals not facing the right direction. Normals, by the way, are just the direction that polygons face. Sometimes they can get mixed up where they're facing in instead of out. So that's what normals are. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to pan. And what I'm going to do is press, well, let me tell you this before I press anything. When you're dealing with hard surface modeling, so these are, obviously hard pieces of material. They're meant to be hard, right? We don't need a subdivision surface because they're the general shape that they're already in. So we don't need to put a subdivision surface on here. So all we're going to do is we're going to go to shading and put on shade smooth, right? So I'm going to click here, turn this back to default medium point, and then click A to select all of these. Then I'm going to press Z and turn on shade smooth. So now you'll see when we go into object mode, you'll see though that these they don't look right. They look soft from that shade smooth. So it kind of smoothed out the edges here, but look at it now, it doesn't look right. And this is pretty easily dealt with just like this. So with these selected, you click here and that's where the good old edge split modifier comes in. Remember this for when you're doing hard surface modeling. Got a good old edge split, select there, and there you go. So we have our shade smooth here, but at the same time we have our the hardness of the look that we're going for. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to click on the card, put a subdivision surface on there, and deal with that. So we'll click here, go into edit mode. We're going to press A to select everything. Now we're going to let me turn this clipping on for our mirror. I'm going to click here, and that clipping I just turned on just because I forgot to turn it on back on before. Move this out of the way. We'll go to, we'll click here. We'll go down to subdivision surface. If by some chance you don't see it, you might have to go down like I did. Now we put the subdivision surface on there. We'll click this up to 2. We'll click here so it looks like it's applied. You see all these like checker mark things going on here. We'll press Z and then shade smooth, and that got rid of that. And some of these areas we want to be smooth like this. We might, want that to be smooth, but we don't want the windows to be smooth. We don't want these to be smooth. So one of the ways that we can deal with that, there's multiple ways we can do it. One of them, you already know the one which is edge split. There's multiple ways of dealing with it. We're just going to deal with, a lot of times it's up to how much time you have. So I'm going to press A to deselect. Now see all these, what we're just going to do is we're going to press L, hover our mouse over these different things because they're mirrored. It's just these ones here, and those over there are just a mirror of this. Whoops. Control Z. So press L. Alright, so for this we're just going to press Shift E and pull, and you can see just like that those are dealt with. As far as the windows, hold the middle mouse button and turn. Sometimes it'll take a combination of things. So what we're going to do here is we're going to press Control R to put a loop cut in, drag this up here. We're going to press Control R, put another loop cut in, drag this down here. We'll put Control R, put a loop cut here, dealt with that too. Control R for another loop cut, drag this back some, and that worked fairly well for that. Now we need to decide on what do we want hard, and some of the stuff like this right here, I would rather have this be hard so it looks like it's can bust through a barrier or something. Okay, so one of the things you can do to deal with this, besides I'm holding Shift and just selecting this whole edge right here, holding Shift and selecting all this, besides the edge split and the mean crease, one of the things you can do is you can put a bevel on something. So like what we did here was we put edge loops in, right? And by putting one edge next to another, even with a subdivision surface on, which tends to make things smooth, those two edges, together make a sharp edge. So what we did was we selected this right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a bevel, which is kind of like putting two edge loops together. And we're going to use the bevel shortcut key. We're going to press Control B, just pull slightly, and you can see right there it's not perfect, but I'm going to press A so you can see how much shape this just got just from putting that bevel on compared to what it was before we put the bevel on there. The bevel's nice because it allows you to aim for specific things or specific areas and deal with them. Like, see this area right here? Let's see what the bevel does here. Select here, here. We'll press Control B. Put the bevel on it. Not quite, because we probably need this too. Let's see. Playing with it a little. Whoop. Try it again. Control B. There we go. You know, just harden that right up, just putting a bevel in the right, you know, the right places. So yeah, when you're dealing with cars or vehicles, a lot of times it's going to come down to the smoothness mixed with the hard lines. And you know, before I knew what to do, it used to really annoy me that I could make you know, human characters, but I couldn't sit there and make couldn't make you know, vehicles, which seemed like they should be easier. But that's why that hard surface modeling issue you know, comes up. And just remember again, the bevel, the edge split modifier, and the mean crease is your friend with creating vehicles and things with hard surfaces, while at the same time needing some smooth surfaces. And that's what we'll do with this now. We'll put a edge split on here. So we'll click here. It's down some. We'll select edge split. And you can see where when that edge split came in, you know, the edges that were already kind of sharp, it really made it, you know, sharp, gave it a nice, you know, machine, if you will, sharpness to it. And we'll click here on the object mode, take a look at it. I think I'd like to see some more detail here, so what we'll do is click here. We'll just select here. So I like the smoothness going down here, but these edges, so what we're going to do is we'll press Control B. There we go. We'll come back in object mode. And now you can see just by doing that bevel, you know, now how much sharper that is right there. And it looks like there needs to be a little bit more detail right here, so we're just going to click here, go to edit mode. We're going to go to face select. We're going to select here. We're going to press E to extrude. Left click to lock in. Press E to extrude again. Left click to lock in. Pull this up some. E to extrude. Left click to lock in again. Zoom in here. I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, now I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan back. Similar thing here. We'll select here, press E to extrude, left click to lock in, E to extrude again, left click to lock in, drag up some, E to extrude, left click to lock in, E to extrude, left click to lock in, press S to scale out some. Back to object mode. Yeah, I like it better like that. Remember, you're doing a tutorial. Don't get too caught up. Okay, it looks like we have some weird shading right here. So we're going to select here. Click here, go into edit mode. And I'm just going to press Z to go into wireframe. Press A. It shouldn't affect anything by resetting the normals there. So we're just going to hold control with my right mouse button, drag a loop select around all of them, press Control N, click here, go back to solid mode. Trying to go to object mode, my brain was thinking, still doesn't look right. So for this thing, we're gonna click here, go back, we'll select here, we'll press L to select this whole part here, and L there. Now we're going to press W, and we're going to go to flip normals, and that looks like it did the trick. So now we go, yeah, that did it. So the flip normals were needed to get that looking right. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to click here. We're going to go to the cycles renderer. We're going to zoom out here. I'm going to press Shift A. We're in object mode, so I'm going to bring in a plane. I'm going to press S to scale. S to scale again. S to scale again. Push this down. Like that. I'm going to press Shift A. Bring in another plane. Pull it straight up. Like this. Press S to scale, S to scale again, S to scale. So I'll make it higher. S to scale more. I have a NVIDIA processor, so I can change this to GPU. I think I have a 650 or 640. Some minor adjustments here. For this right here, we're going to click here, and we're going to put a material of emission on here. So we're going to click New. We're going to go down to where it says Diffuse. You're going to click here, and you're going to go to Emission. Again, the reason why we came here was to put some quick materials on the car. If in cycles, which just generally tends to make things look beautiful, if you press Shift Z, there we go, it will go into rendered mode. And this right here is the sampling, that grainy stuff you see. So if you click here, you scroll down to sampling here. We'll take this render up to 100. Take the preview up to 100. If you watch these numbers here, you'll see that as it gets closer to 100, it'll get clearer and clearer. Okay, so what we want to do is zoom in. We want to press T to take away this menu here. We're going to hover our mouse right over this striped triangular looking thing here. We're going to left click and pull to the side. We're going to press Shift Z so that this allows us to see what's going on as far as our just moving this down a little bit more. This allows us to see, you know, what's going on as far as our samples. Oh, sorry. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the cannons. Click here. Click New. We're going to click Diffuse. And a lot of times when people see me adjusting cycles, materials, or shaders here, they're like, you know, go into the node editor. And the reason why I tend to stay here is because the node editor is probably the better way to do this. However, the first time I saw it as a beginner, it looked like something from like the Borg in Star Trek with all the wires going all over the place. So this will get the job done. I could be wrong. You guys let me know. You know what seems less I don't know, fearsome to you. This doing, you know, shaders like this are going into the node editor. Anyway, we're going to go to Mix Shader, and we're going to click here. We're going to select Glossy BSDF. And then we're going to scroll down, select here. We're going to select Diffuse. And by doing this, it allows us to control how glossy, you know, our cannons are. And we can see what's going on here. Or we should be able to. So what I'm going to do is take this down to a nice dark color. I'm going to increase the factor here. Now, when I increase the factor generally works with the second shader. So when I increase the factor, it increases the diffuse color and decreases the glossiness. Okay, so now that we have that set up, we're going to select the car. We're going to click to go into, we're going to click here, go to edit mode, and roll our mouse wheel in. We're going to make sure we're on face select. I'm going to press C for paint select. I'm going to paint all right here. We already had that selected, so that's fine. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to erase the edges, which I didn't want. So we have this face selected here, and this face selected here. I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. I'm going to press C for paint select again, select right here. Okay, so what we're going to do, since we're already on the material button, is we're going to click use nodes. We're going to scroll up we're going to click here and then click here. And the reason why we did that, we made the second materials because I want the material we're going to put on, I want it to just go where I have the faces selected. So now we're going to select the fuse. We're going to go to mix shader. The first shader, we're going to go to glossy BSDF. We're going to scroll down, and this is going to be the actual color. I want a pretty deep orange. And now with that done, what we're going to do is we're going to click assign, and now I'm going to press Shift Z to put this back, and there you can see, you know, the color over there. This is actually a bit darker than I wanted. And see, by adjusting this factor adjusts the bottom shader. So by pushing this back, I can actually make the bottom shader have less effect and make more glossiness come in to that material. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just to turn to get a better view right here. Put this over here. What I'm going to do is, since I have this selected and I want pretty much everything else selected, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control I, which is inverse, so it'll select everything other than what's selected here. So I'm going to press Control I. So now everything else other than that, you know, color we were selected on is selected. So now I'm going to click plus here and plus here for the new material I'm going to, you know, set up. So I'm going to click here, go to mix shader for the first shader, glossy BSDF, and for the second shader, let me go down about like this, and then we're going to press assign. So now we'll press Shift Z and then Shift Z again to have this reset. So now we can see there's our color right there, which is very dark. Actually, I like, okay, yeah, I like that. So okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan this, holding the middle mouse button just to turn. With our face select still on, we're going to select here, holding Shift. So we have that headlight selected. So what we're going to do is like we did before, I'm going to scroll up here. We're going to click the plus here, and then we're going to select new here. We're going to change this diffuse to emission. So now I'll click assign. Then I'm just going to press Shift Z, then Shift Z, and now you can see our headlights there. Okay, and with that set up, we're going to just take the strength down to 7. Okay, now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and pan. I'm going to hold Shift in the middle mouse button to pan up, holding the middle mouse button to turn more now. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is press A to deselect the headlights or anything else that was selected. Press A again to select everything, just so I know absolutely nothing selected. And I'm going to press A one more time. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel in. I'm going to press hold Shift and hold the middle mouse button to pan. Zoom in a little bit more by rolling the mouse wheel. Now I'm going to press L, L, L. I'm just hovering my mouse over each of these sections and pressing L. Okay, and just like we did before, we're gonna select here, then select here, scroll down a little bit, we're gonna go to diffuse, we're gonna select mix shader. For our first shader, we're gonna choose a glossy BSDF. Scroll down more. For our second shader, we're gonna select diffuse, and then we're gonna go to the color of the second shader. We'll scroll back up. We'll select assign, and I'm gonna press Shift Z and then Shift Z, and from this angle, it looks good. Okay, we're gonna press A to deselect. Then we're gonna hold down the Shift button and select the different faces of the windows. So I'm holding the middle mouse button to pan. While holding Shift, I'm holding the middle mouse button to turn. Okay, holding Shift and selecting the windows here. Zoom in here. Holding Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Holding the middle mouse button to turn. Holding Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Holding Shift. Holding the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, and we're going to do just like we did before. We're going to select here and select here. Now what's a little bit different this time is we're going to select diffuse, but this time instead of choosing mix shader, we're going to choose transparent BSDF. Then we're going to click apply or assign. So we'll press Shift Z, Shift Z. And you can see the windows are totally transparent now. So we can control that transparency by selecting this color here and then actually making that darker. Okay, now I'm going to click here to go out of edit mode into object mode. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Pushing, letting go of the middle mouse button, then holding the middle mouse button again to pan. I'm going to select the tire here. I'm going to click here to go to edit mode. I'm going to press A to deselect this tire. I'm going to, with face select still on, I'm going to hold Alt and Shift. Hold the middle mouse button to pan. Holding Alt and Shift, and I'm going to hold Alt and Shift and select this loop here as well. Okay, and just like we did before, let me scroll this up. We're going to select new. I'm going to go to this plus, select here. I'm going to go to diffuse. I'm going to turn that to a mix shader. Take the first shader, I'm going to turn that to a glossy BSDF. I'm going to scroll down, go to the second shader, go to diffuse BSDF, and select color. I'm going to select assign, and I come over here and press over this screen here and press Shift Z to reset. So I can see the color, not dark enough. I'll press Shift Z, then Shift Z. I'm going to take this factor up some to take away a little bit of the shininess. Okay, now what we're going to do is press Control I to invert the selection. We're going to scroll this up, select here, and select here. And this time we're going to click here and we're going to go right to Glossy BSDF. We're going to leave it as is. And we're going to choose a sign. Then we're going to press Shift Z, then Shift Z just to get cycles to basically reset. And now we're going to select here, hold Shift, select here, 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 here. These different faces. We're going to select here and select here. Scroll down. Do very similar like we did before. Select Mix Shader. The top shader, select Glossy. Scroll down, second shader, select Diffuse. And then a little bit darker color. And then we're going to scroll up and select a sign. Then we'll press Shift Z and Shift Z to take a look. Okay, now since we have the materials all set up for there, we're just going to click here, go to object mode. We're going to zoom back here. And now we're actually going to select this tire, press X to bring up a delete menu, delete there, select this tire, press Shift D, left click to lock in, and we're just going to pull this back. That way we don't have to redo the materials. There's other ways to do it, but this is a pretty simple way of doing it. So I just held the middle mouse button to turn. I'm going to press X, delete this tire, X to delete that tire. And what I'm going to do now is press T to bring up our navigation tab. I'm going to go to front view, roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, we still have our 3D cursor right in the center, so what we're going to do is click here to change the pivot point to the 3D cursor. Then we're going to select this wheel right here. We're going to press Shift D, move out to the side just so we know that we duplicated it. We're going to right click so it goes right back to its place. Then we're going to press S to scale on the X axis, -1, left click to lock in. Okay, we're going to press A to deselect that wheel. We're going to hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side. We're going to select this tire. We're going to press Shift D to duplicate it. We're going to move our mouse out to the side just so we know it's duplicated. We're going to right click so it jumps back into its place. Okay, so I'm just going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back some. I'm going to select front to go to front view. And then I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis, -1. Left click to lock in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just to turn the view slightly. And there you can see there's the wheel on the other side of the car just like we want it to be. Okay, now I'm just going to roll the mouse wheel back. And you see how this light is showing in this render here. If I click this light right here, and then I click this box right here, this orange box, which is the active display menu, and I scroll all the way down to ray visibility. If I click here, and while I'm selected on this light here, if I uncheck this this check mark next to camera, the light disappears from the render, but yet we still get the actual light that's showing us our mesh and what we're working on in the first place. Okay, now I'm just going to select this plane right here. I'm going to select material here. I'm going to select new. I'm going to go right to color, and I'm just going to give this a color. I'm now going to hold my mouse over this triangular looking stripe thing right here. I'm going to left click and hold, pull and drag to the right. So we only have one window again. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. For all of those of you out there who like the videos on this channel and reshare them, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. And to those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel and you would like to see more, please subscribe. Also, I now have a support button on my homepage. So if you would like to support this channel by a donation of any amount, it would be greatly appreciated. And as always, thanks for viewing, guys.